Hello and welcome back to Nest Generation.
Today we're going to be taking a look at the 25th edition of Nintendo Power, which features Battletoads on the cover.
And then we'll take a look at NES Open Tournament Golf.
And this edition is special because it features an introduction to the SNES.
Let's jump right in. The first game we're looking at today is Battletoads from Rare in 1991. So it's a platform brawler, I guess you could say. Features 2-player, so we played 2 players. And what did you think of Battletoads, Laurel?
I really enjoyed it. It was one of the games that most of the games are pretty simple, I guess. And while that doesn't mean that they're not fun, definitely games that are more complex, it can definitely make it a lot more fun. It's kind of compelling to learn everything about the game, I guess.
So this one had quite a bit of variety, I think. You know, we saw the first 3 levels.
Yeah.
And just in those first 3 levels, like every level was like a different play style.
Right.
With the first level being just your standard kind of platform, walking along, brawling enemies. The second level was a really unique, going down the mine shaft, vertical, hanging on ropes, which I can't think of any other games off the top of my head that had a similar play style. The third level, while it starts out with the platforming,
right,
it quickly goes into the speeder bikes. In our playthrough, I was the only one that actually got to the speeder bikes, but Laurel did pretty good and held her own through the pit, fighting all the birds and the piranha plants.
It was definitely lots of fun. I haven't played it single player, but playing it multiplayer is definitely pretty fun, as I don't think that the amount of enemies is reduced when you're playing by yourself, and it was already kind of hard to keep up with just 2 people, so it's probably...
One thing we definitely noticed a lot was the PvP damage aspect, where, especially if you're trying to play cooperatively, like it can be, especially the pit, going down the pit. We were like constantly swinging into each other.
Yeah.
Which made it more difficult, I think. Because I even found, like, once you had died on near the end of the pit one, that it almost seemed easier to me playing single player. Right. And that might just be that level in particular. I can't recall when you get to the speeder bikes if you bump into each other, but that would be a nightmare on that level.
It definitely would.
It's sort of a notoriously hard level. Is that speeder bike level of this game. And I remember this isn't a game that I ever owned, but I rented it a whole bunch, I think, and played it at friends' houses and such. I think I probably beat the speeder one a few times, but it was definitely something where you had to put in some time to learn the pattern, because it just starts coming so fast towards the end that you really have to have the pattern down. Overall, I think this pretty much everything in this game was great. There's the music was really varied and good. The graphics, that boss at the end of the first level with like kind of the first person view shooting at you.
I can't remember I think it reminds me of one of the like power-ups in Super Smash Bros. Where you have to collect the 3 different pieces, and then after you collect them you can like aim and hit the other player. But I can't remember what that's supposed to be based off of.
Are there any other kind of cool features or things that you weren't expecting that you wanted to mention?
You get a stick. Well, okay, you get like a weapon thing, and that's really fun because I don't know, like it just is really satisfying to hit things with a stick. I don't know why.
It definitely was one of those things where I don't know what it was. Because even in a lot of games, like, you'll get a certain gun power-up or something, and you feel like, oh, I'm more powerful against the enemies, but there's just something really satisfying about having that stick in these,
right.
Whether it was the sword in the pit or the stick in that first level. So I think definitely this is one of my favorite NES games, and glad we got to try it out with the 2 players. One really exciting thing in this issue was the first appearance of the Super Nintendo, sort of a preview where they're showing like things to come with the SNES. There's a 4-page spread. They show what the console will actually look like, what the controllers are going to look like. So Laurel, this was super exciting for me growing up. Quick little story, I saved up all summer to buy a Super Nintendo and went to the store with a bag of coins and stuff.
Oh my goodness.
And the cashier had to count all this money. I think my parents matched some money, but that was before the internet, so I had to, I saw it in a catalog and had to go. So it features some cool prototype design drawings showing different ideas they had, and just talks about some of the basics, the new graphics and sound, some of the cool stuff that the Super Nintendo can do. And just seeing those few little screenshots were so impressive coming from an NES. Do you have any quick thoughts on the Super Nintendo? What experience have you had so far?
All I can remember is when you started to get back into retro gaming, and I think you pulled out your SNES, and I think I played through Link to the Past to the Desert Temple or Dungeon, I think. It was a bunch of years ago at this point. And then I think I played with Super Mario Paint a bunch back then, and then a month ago I walked in and Dad was playing it and I was like, oh my goodness. And then I tried to do I spent way too long messing around with the music part of it. It turned out that the song I was trying to do, it needed to have a bunch of sharps and flats, but sadly that wasn't allowed.
Yeah, Mario Paint was fairly simple. This episode, we're also taking a look at NES Open Tournament Golf, which was released in 1991 by Nintendo, and is, I thought, a pretty well-done golf game for the NES. It sounds like you were saying, Laurel, you hadn't played a lot of golf games. Did you ever play the Wii golf? I can't remember.
I honestly don't think I have. I know that there's a lot of different Mario Golf games across the different Nintendo systems, but I don't think that I've actually played any of them.
We don't have any of them, I don't think. So there's not really a chance you would have had outside of playing on emulators. So a funny thing to start out, we actually spent probably 10 minutes just hitting 0 and 1 foot putts, but shots, because we couldn't figure out the hit mechanic. Because most golf games use a similar, it's a swinging kind of pendulum timer thing where you click once and then you click again. But I initially thought that you would let it bounce down to the end, and then when it would come back, you would hit at the arrow mark. But you have to hit once to start it, once near the left end, with the left end being the maximum power, and then again targeting that arrow spot. And then the closer you are to that second arrow, the more straight your shot will be.
Yeah.
I felt there was a good number of options. I feel like it would take you a long time to master all of the, it had the backspin and a slow, medium, or hard shot to, give it more power. But if you give it more power, then you're more likely to not be as accurate. You start with a 2D top-down view.
Yeah.
And there's a little target you can pick left and right to get your general aim.
Yeah.
But then also when you were in it goes to a 3D view after you pick your what club you're using. There was also a left to right adjustment there.
Right. I think that was just to kind of make it more accurate, because I feel like you're choosing your more general one, and then when you're in
the 3D view,
you have your
then it's kind of just a more fine tuning,
right, especially when you're near the hole. so you can get it in easier, I guess.
Again, on this game, we played the 2 players, but you can play single player, and then there's 5 different computer opponents that are like different skill levels, so you can kind of, as you get better in the game, play against the different opponents. And I think there's 3 different courses that you can go to. There was like Japan, US, and Europe maybe.
Yeah, that sounds about
I should have
right.
looked up what they were. But in any case, so there's a variety of courses. There was like a practice and a match mode. So some different modes that you could play. I thought it was kind of cool that when you get close to the hole, they had like the close-up of the...
Right.
So you get that kind of exciting thing as you're rolling right up to the hole to see if it's actually going to go in or not. Was kind of cool. I don't know, it felt fairly impressive for an NES game, with especially like the 3D view. Knowing a little bit about the technical stuff of the NES, like that they had to actually make kind of an engine that would draw the 3D terrain. But it's not like fully 3D, but it's, actually drawing, the trees in and stuff depending on where you are and everything. So I thought that was pretty cool. When you're on the putting green, it's got sort of the arrows indicating the slope. And then is there anything else you wanted to add, Laurel?
I also feel like we should mention that neither of us play golf. So I feel like maybe if we did, or at least knew a little bit about it, it might have given us some advantage, because we'd know like, oh, this will like having a back shot will help us do this, or so it was kind of funny.
I think again, pretty good game, and enjoyed checking this one out. Thanks for joining us on another edition of NES Generation.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe.